It's strange how a cartoon about a yellow four-fingered family outlasted presidents and generations. Since 1989, The Simpsons have thrived, but one question remains. What happened to the Simpsons Movie sequel? The 2007 film was a hit, so why not follow up? To find out, we need to rewind to a time when The Simpsons shook Hollywood. Not scared like boo, but scared as in, wait, are these cartoon people smarter than our $200 million superhero films? The show had already made fun of every type of movie before it ever tried making one. The most obvious early jab, that would be the Radioactive Man episode from season 7. Here's the setup. Hollywood comes to Springfield to shoot a major superhero movie. They cast Rainier Wolfcastle, aka Diet Schwarzenegger, as Radioactive Man and decide that Milhouse will play his loyal sidekick, Fallout Boy, because Bart too short. Milhouse somehow becomes the face of a multi-million-dollar production and immediately regrets it. He hates acting, hates the attention, and definitely hates being inside a latex costume that probably smells like comic book guy's basement. Eventually, Milhouse goes missing, the production falls apart, and the studio blows millions of dollars for nothing. It was meant to be funny, and it was, but it also felt way too close to real life. Hollywood excess? Check. Kids hating fame? Double check. Studio collapse? Triple check. It was like the writers were trying to tell everyone, hey, making a movie out of a cartoon is a terrible idea. And then years later, they did exactly that. But we'll get to that. Before that, The Simpsons made fun of the movie industry again, this time with the Itchy and Scratchy movie in Season 4. This was peak satire. Everyone in Springfield lost their minds over the idea of a feature-length version of a cartoon where a psychotic mouse mutilates a cat in increasingly creative ways. It was gory, dumb, and instantly iconic. But here's the twist. Bart doesn't get to see it. Homer grounds him because of parenting. And so the movie plays out without Bart. But by the time he finally watches it as an adult, he's a Supreme Court justice. Apparently missing a cartoon movie turned him into the most successful Simpson. That episode did two things. One, it proved that The Simpsons could build entire stories around movies within the show. Two, it quietly asked, what if we made an actual movie? But we also made fun of movies at the same time. Hollywood wouldn't be ready for that kind of layered chaos for years. Then came McBain. Not an episode, exactly more like a background gag stretched across multiple seasons. Little pieces of this absurd 80s-style action movie popped up in different episodes. You'd see McBain blow up a helicopter in one. Then he'd yell, Mendoza! in another. And if you piece them together, surprise, you had a full-blown revenge plot where McBain's partner gets killed by a corrupt senator and McBain goes full Rambo. It had everything. Explosions, bad dialogue, steroid rage. The whole thing was like if Die Hard was filmed on 3 VHS tapes with a potato. And people loved it. So much that fans stitched the clips into one mini-movie. It wasn't official, but that's the point. The Simpsons didn't need a real movie. It already had dozens of them, fake ones hiding inside the snow, and all of them made fun of the real thing better than the real thing ever could. The next fake movie didn't even try to look professional. Remember Pocahontas? No, it's a typo. It's the name of the art film Barney
movie.
Grumble submitted to the Springfield Film Festival.
Movie? No wonder I was on the cover of Entertainment Weekly.
Everyone thought he'd submit a burp reel or something equally disgusting. But instead, he delivers a black and white masterpiece that shows him battling alcoholism with raw, emotional voiceovers and sad saxophone music. Even Jay Sherman, the snobby film critic from the Critic Crossover episode, cries a little. Barney wins the festival, and Homer looks like he just watched someone explain modern art to a ham sandwich. Right after that, Hans Mullman throws in his own short film, Man Getting Hit by Football. The title says it all. A man himself gets hit in the groin by a football. That's it. One scene, one scream, one squeaky oof. But Homer watches it and loses his mind. It works on so many levels, he says, in a voice that could only come from a man whose soul was built in a recliner. It was simple. It was stupid, but it made perfect point. Sometimes dumb wins, especially in movies. Then came Stop the Planet of the Apes, I Want to Get Off. This one was legendary. Troy McClure, desperate for a comeback, agrees to star in a musical version of Planet of the Apes. You'd think that's where the joke stops, but no. This fake Broadway show has full musical numbers, backup dancers, gorilla suits, and a song where Troy literally sings, Dr. Zaius, like he's trying to win a Tony Award with a banana. It was ridiculous, and somehow it worked. Another reminder that The Simpsons didn't just spoof movies. It dissected them, rewrote them, and made them funnier than the source material. So with all that genius, all those fake movies, and an actual full-length film in 2007, what happened after that? Why didn't we get The Simpsons Movie 2, Electric Boogaloo? Well, that's where the story fizzles. After the first movie made over $500 million worldwide, fans expected a sequel, and the writers, they said, yeah, maybe, which in Hollywood speak is the same as saying, we'll call you, don't call us. Over the years, they kept teasing it. One writer said they had ideas, and others said they were waiting for the right time. Then Disney bought Fox, and everything got more complicated. Suddenly, The Simpsons weren't just the yellow stepchildren of TV. They were now owned by Mickey Mouse, which meant any movie idea had to get through the corporate filter of the most squeaky clean entertainment company in the world. So instead of another movie, we got shorts, like Maggie Simpson mini episodes, or the weird Disney crossover where Homer meets Goofy. They're cute, but let's be real, they're not movies, they're just digital snacks. Meanwhile, the idea of a real sequel keeps aging like milk. The cast is older, the writers are scattered, and at this point, the show has already made fun of sequels so much, it would feel weird making one. Then there's Hail to the Chimp. No actual footage, just a poster at a beauty pageant. But it says everything it needs to. A chimpanzee becomes president, and from the look of the chimpanzee's face, things are not going well. You've got advisors panicking, phones exploding, probably someone slipping on a banana peel in the Situation Room. This is what happens when Dunstan checks in meets Air Force One, and no one says no at the script meeting. It's so stupid, it loops back around and becomes brilliant. And once again, we didn't get this as a full movie, just a poster. But it works. You immediately know what kind of chaos you're dealing with. And if you ever wondered what happens when a serious actor completely gives up, you've got the Muppets Go Medieval. Another fake title, this time from Troy McClure's ever-worsening career. This man once taught children about lead paint. Delicious but deadly. Now he's the villain in a fantasy where Miss Peggy needs rescuing from a tower, possibly guarded by Fozzie Bear in a night helmet. The fact that this crossover doesn't actually exist is a crime against comedy, but it nails something important. It makes fun of Hollywood's obsession with mashing things together that have no business being mashed. You want drama? You get Kermit holding a sword. You want romance? You get Gonzo in tights. Troy McClure doesn't blink. He cashes the check. And while we're on the subject of boring masses, let's not forget the Stockholm Affair, a name that screams serious political thriller and delivers the pacing of molasses on a cold day. Homer watches it during a marriage retreat, but honestly, he looks like he's being punished. It's all whispers, close-ups, and probably a scene where someone hands over a manila envelope very, very slowly. This movie exists to show what happens when you take yourself too seriously. You end up with something so dry, the audience popcorn starts begging for water. And of course, Homer just leaves. He chooses alcohol over plot twists, which might actually be the smartest thing he's ever done. But wait, there's also Tic Tac Toe versus VO. If you've ever stayed up too late and accidentally watched a student film, this is for you. It's part of Springfield Film Festival, and it's exactly what it sounds like. X and O are lovers, or enemies, or maybe both, and they communicate only in shapes. There's dramatic music, there's abstract visuals, and there's a lot of sighing. Probably. No one knows what it means, but people pretend to understand it, because admitting confusion would destroy their ego. It's a perfect jab at the kind of films that spend all their time being deep and forget to be watchable. And yet, in under a minute, The Simpsons made a better parody of pretentious cinema than most actual directors ever have. And just when you thought it couldn't get dumber or better, there's David versus Super Goliath. Bart's watching this one on Sunday morning instead of going to church, which feels right because this is the Bible turned into an action cartoon. Goliath is no longer just a big guy. He's basically a robot with lasers and jetpacks. David probably has a slingshot that fires nukes. The soundtrack is explosions. This thing is so over the top, it makes Transformers look like Little House on the Prairie. And it's hilarious because, again, it's real. Not the movie, of course, but the idea. You really can find children's religious cartoons that look like they were directed by Michael Bay on a sugar rush. All of this brings us back to the original question, what happened to the Simpsons Movie 2? Why hasn't it happened? Because it already did, over and over again, just in shorter, weirder, funnier pieces. Every few episodes, you get a new fake film that tells you everything you need to know in 30 seconds flat. No runtime padding, no pointless side plots, no dramatic speeches about finding yourself, just raw, ridiculous satire that hits harder than most full-length features. Besides, let's be honest, The Simpsons don't need another movie. They've got over 700 episodes. They've got Homer falling down cliffs, Bart faking his own death, Marge becoming a cop, and Maggie saving the entire town with a pacifier. They've taken on every genre already. Sci-fi, horror, musicals, courtroom dramas, even anime. And somehow, they still find time to sneak in these fake movies that feel more real than half the stuff on Netflix. That's probably why the Simpsons Movie 2 never showed up. Not because the writers forgot or because the studio said no, but because the idea itself became unnecessary. When your show already parodies every corner of pop culture with better jokes, better timing, and far weirder titles, Tic Tac Toe X versus O, really? What's left to do?
Quarter pounder with cheese? Well, I can picture the cheese, but, do they have crusty, partially gelatinated, non-dairy gum-based beverages?
A sequel would just slow them down. They don't need 90 minutes. They need 30 minutes, a bad pun, and maybe a chimp in a suit. So the next time you see a parody poster in the background or you hear Troy McClure talk about calling all Quakers, just remember, the Simpsons are still making movies. You just have to really watch, like really, really closely, and be okay with the fact that sometimes the hero is a giant radioactive blob and the villain is a sock puppet from space. What do you think about the Simpsons movie? Share your opinions with us in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, click the following video on your screen, and you will enjoy it.